In the fourth quarter of last year, we started to hear more speculations that Apple was lowering the scale of the dynamic island cutout. This hypothesis was first presented by analyst Jeff Pu of Haitong International Securities, who pointed out that the iPhone 17 Pro Max would be the only handset with a shape-shifting warning system that was just slightly smaller. This would be the first modification made to the dynamic island's proportions, since Apple introduced the feature with the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max. Should this be the 1940s, we would be screaming "Stop the presses," and a spinning picture would display before your eyes with a headline saying that Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo now says not to expect any change in the size of the dynamic island on any iPhone 17 model. Kuo, employed by TF International, is well known for his precise Apple calls. Hence, you can take it to the bank when he declares that the dynamic island size is not being dropped on any iPhone 17 model. Sort of right. I expect the dynamic island size to remain largely unchanged across the two 825 iPhone 17 series, Kuo tweeted on X. I don't know about you, but it's the largely unchanged phrase that permits a tiny space just in case Kuo is Rube, Warang, wrong. It truly isn't the size of the dynamic island that has non-believers hoping that the feature achieves the promise it demonstrated when Apple announced it in September 2022. Before its presentation, there had been some reports of a second cutout that Apple has hidden at the top of the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max to make it appear as one continuous cutout. But the introduction of the dynamic island stunned everyone, and when the feature changed shapes during the presentation to show audio controls, the woos and ohs from everybody watching at home, including my house, made it appear like Apple was onto something huge. But like several features that Apple has introduced to the iPhone dating back to Sari, even including most Apple Intelligence features, the dynamic island has been underwhelming, and at this point, most iPhone users would prefer to see Apple toss all of the Face ID components under the screen and bring a pristine display to iPhone. Toward that end, the tech giant recently won a US patent that solves the issue Apple was having getting the infrared light required to scan the user's face and verify it through the pixels under an iPhone's display. Apple found that it could remove part of the subpixel array to get the infrared light through the pixels under the screen. Will we see Face ID relocated under the glass for the iPhone 18 next year? Will Apple do away with the dynamic island in 2026? The answers to these questions are a bit under 20 months distant. What we can tell you is that the most reputable source of Apple information, not including Apple of course, is now telling us to expect the dynamic island size to remain largely unchanged across the two 825 iPhone 17 series. Apple is famous for its ingenuity, especially when launching premium iPhones. With each new model, considerable enhancements to camera capabilities often entice buyers to upgrade. This year looks Apple follow that tradition, as reports spread about the iPhone 17 Pro's camera system upgrades. The newest intel says that both flagship models will receive major updates to their front and telephoto cameras. If these predictions hold true, the iPhone 17 Pro might provide better front and rear cameras, turning heads in the smartphone market. Notably, Apple may eventually shift away from the long-standing 12 megapixels lenses that have been a feature in its recent models. Earlier speculations revealed a remarkable shift for the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which would see its telephoto camera resolution boosted from 12 megapixels to an amazing 48 megapixels. However, trustworthy sources are now stating that such updates could not be confined to merely the Max version. As the announcement for this much-anticipated smartphone launch approaches, enthusiasm continues to increase among Apple devotees. The possible development in camera technology might transform photography for mobile consumers and create a new standard in the industry. Stay tuned for additional info on this tremendous development in Apple's product lineup. The projected advances in iPhone camera technology have far-reaching repercussions that extend beyond regular user satisfaction. As Apple wants to upgrade its flagship model's camera systems, it is positioned to reshape social media landscapes, affecting how users share and consume visual material. Higher resolution cameras promise to facilitate ultra-high definition photos, potentially leading to more interactivity on sites like Instagram and TikTok. This could result in a surge of user-generated content that needs advanced editing tools and techniques, thereby altering photography trends and styles. Moreover, The change in camera technology is projected to boost rivalry among smartphone makers. As firms attempt to incorporate similar or superior capabilities, we may observe a global economic ripple effect, prompting investments in camera technology and related software development. Companies may invest billions into R&D to keep up, driving innovation across the industry. From an environmental standpoint, the continual desire for greater technology creates challenges. The development of contemporary camera systems may contribute to more resource extraction and electronic waste. In response, manufacturers might be obliged to adopt more sustainable ways to decrease ecological impact. Overall, the advancement of iPhone camera technology symbolizes a wider trend in consumer electronics, one that intertwines societal, cultural, and environmental components into a tangled narrative of innovation and responsibility. The long-term significance will hinge on how well the industry links technology discoveries with sustainable practices and societal objectives. The biggest of them all, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and the smaller-sized iPhone 17 Pro are rumored to sport massive 6.9-inch and 6.3-inch LTPO OLED displays, respectively, with ultra-thin bezels and potentially higher peak brightness. The phone's displays will feature a 120 Hz ProMotion refresh rate and may incorporate a new anti-reflective coating. What's more, the phones are said to contain a smaller dynamic island, enabled by a meta-lens design that could reduce the size need for the front camera and Face ID. Both models are likely to arrive with a new technology for better durability and battery efficiency. In terms of hardware, the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max will likely be driven by the Apple A19 Pro chip, supported by 12 gigs of RAM, and provide numerous storage options ranging from 256 gigs, but one might hope for 2 terabytes possibilities. Battery capacity are estimated to be roughly 3,700 mAh for the 17 Pro and 4,700 mAh for the 17 Pro Max. Camera sets will contain a 48 megapixels primary camera, a 48 megapixels ultra-wide lens, a 48 megapixels telephoto lens with 5x zoom, and a 24 megapixels selfie camera. The iPhone Pro could be priced at $1,099 or $119 and above, a big jump from the $999 price tag of the 16 Pro and the 15 Pro. The iPhone 17 Pro Max will likely stay the existing starting price of $1,199, or not. Could it be that the biggest and baddest iPhone of 2025 has a $200 price hike? Let's hope not, but everything out there is going up. My view is that the bigger 6.3-inch display for the 16 Pro and the 6.9-inch display for the iPhone 16 Pro Max will be on the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. This is a major leap from the 6.1-inch display of the 15 Pro and the 6.7-inch display of the 15 Pro Max. The iPhone 17 Pro pair owners won't complain. They might have larger LTPO OLED displays with ultra-thin bezels. Like all Pro models since the iPhone 13, these displays will feature a smooth 120 Hz ProMotion refresh rate, enhancing the scrolling experience. Additionally, there's conjecture that these screens might produce substantially higher peak brightness. Now the screen dims down to a single nit, like a comforting whisper for your eyes when you're scrolling in the dark, resting in bed. It's sort of groundbreaking. It's a thing people have been pressing Apple for year after year. Finally, they listened. Of course, Samsung's been doing it forever, so this is Apple's way of pretending to stay up. The important questions remains, will Apple shower the iPhone 17 Pro with a superior anti-reflective coating, like the Galaxy S24 Ultra? Its predecessor didn't get it, so maybe 2025 is the year. We're also kind of expecting upgrades with a dynamic island and the Face ID hideaway that remained untouched in 2024. Rumorsville is fairly quiet on the iPhone 17 Pro and the 17 Pro Max battery capacity, but I expect them to arrive with approximately 3,700 mAh and approximately 4,700 mAh capacity, respectively. Apple's new battery adhesive, first seen in the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus, might be applied across all 4 iPhone 17 models next year. The approach leverages an electric current to deteriorate the glue, allowing the battery to be removed with minimal force. The winding battery, also known as coiled or spiral wound battery, method involves folding battery materials into a cylindrical or prismatic shape. Wound batteries are frequently easier and less expensive to make at scale and are recognized for their robustness and great mechanical stability. However, they may have slightly lower energy density because of the space used up by the winding process. Or perhaps, Apple could travel in a different way with the iPhone 17. Like using something comparable to the Honor Magic 6 Pro's amazing battery life that involves silicon carbon battery. Apple is likely to shrink the gap in artificial intelligence, eventually catching up with what other businesses have been giving for years. The iPhone will demonstrate tremendous AI capabilities, enabling it to execute tricks and features that have long been characteristics of its competitors, signaling a huge leap forward in Apple's approach to AI integration. Even Apple enthusiasts and insiders have been arguing for nearly a year now that Apple is way behind the competitors in the AI race. Apple introduced iOS 18, displaying its strong focus on AI for the iPhone. In a move that's reminiscent of Apple, the business revealed Apple Intelligence, their humble term for their own set of AI features, but limited its availability to only a few of iPhones. While Apple didn't mention the 2025 iPhone 17 series when announcing the AI-focused iOS 18, it's unlikely they'll abandon the project. In fact, I believe the full potential of Apple Intelligence will be realized with the iPhone 17, not the iPhone 16. Why? Because despite the official launch of the iPhone 16, we likely won't see the full impact of Apple Intelligence just yet. Apple started handing out Apple Intelligence through software upgrades in fall 2024, soon after the iPhone 16's introduction and the official distribution of iOS 18. However, these enhancements are scheduled to emerge in phases, with general availability in the first half of 2025. By 2025, the upgraded Siri with new features is anticipated to be ready as part of iOS 18.4, which is still under development. This improved Siri will only be available on devices with the A17 Pro chip or newer, capable of executing difficult multi-step queries within apps. How sweet of Apple to reserve this feature for iPhone 15 Pro and higher buyers. While iOS 19 is still far off, we may expect some familiar features with slight updates, but essentially, the core experience will remain the same. With iOS 18, we get to explore new features such as freeform app icon placement, richer icon customization, including resizing and adding color tints, configurable lock screen shortcuts, and a redesigned control center. These sections could be updated further in iOS 19, offering customers even more control over their iPhone's look. As I noted above, the iPhone 17 series is positioned to gain from Apple's continuous push for in-house technologies, with the introduction of custom-designed Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chips. These new chips, intended to support the Wi-Fi 7 standard, will boost integration, performance, and energy efficiency while helping Apple minimize its dependence on third-party vendors like Broadcom. Additionally, Apple's continuous development of its own 5G modem, codenamed Centauri, promises significant breakthroughs in connectivity, security, and cost efficiency, making the iPhone 17 a more seamless and powerful device within Apple's ecosystem. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to press that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tech news and updates.